Tuesday, the Sabres fired GM Jason Botterill, and that was really just the start of the carnage there. You have assistant GMs gone, the minor league coaching staff gone, scouting director, scouts, player development coaches, all out. Kevin Adams promoted from within. The news that there was no search, and he is the third straight Sabres GM with no prior GM experience. You guys know how passionate this fan base is. What do you think of this move, and what do you think of it happening now? Jonesy, I'll start with you.
I think it's really confusing, Liam. I think I can't say it's surprising that they let Botterill go, but it is surprising that Kevin Adams was named the general manager. And a lot of that has to do with what you're talking about. You mentioned the fact that it's their third consecutive general manager that has not had experience. And boy, if you don't have experience, you better have scouts that have experience. And it doesn't sound like they have any scouts left right now. So I've always appreciated the Buffalo Sabres and their fan base. It's been disappointing for a long time now, and they need to get it fixed, but I'm not sure that things are getting fixed immediately, and I think that's going to be concerning to their fans. So we'll sit back and watch for a while, but Buffalo needs to turn it around quickly, and Jack Eichel needs some great players to play with, and it's unfortunate that a star of his caliber has been wasting away right now with that Buffalo Sabres team, and I'm hopeful that it ends up turning out for the better, but I think it's going to take a long time to get this thing figured out.
Yeah, a lot of changes. It took the news for me yesterday by storm. I was shocked just to see not only the general manager, but all the other people in the staff be let go as well. You know, you're talking about pretty significant positions within the organization. You got the head coach and general manager. There's been a lot of turnover there in recent years, and I think that lack of leadership with those positions, I mean, that causes for some tough results in the standings. Now, Kevin Adams was a shock to many. What I know about Kevin Adams is he was a former teammate of mine. He was a great teammate. And talk about leadership qualities. He was on the Blackhawks, I want to say 2006-07. It was the early years. Jonathan Toews was a rookie. And I know Jonathan kind of had a lot of heart-to-heart conversations about how to be a leader in the National Hockey League, how to take that presence to another level in the locker room. Kevin Adams was a guy who always worked hard and cared about the team first. Now, he's in a new position, and we'll see how that works out. But I know he lives in Buffalo. He's done a lot with the youth hockey in the area, and he's committed to the area in Buffalo. He gets out. He hangs out with the fans. He lives in the city. He's at the restaurants. He's at the local rink. So he's one of them guys from Buffalo running the team now. We'll see how this turns out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a passionate fan base, and now they do have a GM. It certainly understands at least that aspect of it, but he's got a huge task in front of him, which is interesting because, I mean, it's 9 years now, this playoff drought, right? And the way the NHL is built at this point, it's a parity-driven league. And if you go really 3 years without going to the playoffs, people have to start to question what's happening here. They have a superstar in Jack Eichel. Their head coach is Ralph Krueger. We don't know what kind of job Kevin Adams will do, but Ralph Krueger, from what we've seen so far, how comfortable do you feel with him, at least as the head coach, to help steer this team in the right direction, guys?
I'm glad he stayed, Liam. I think that's a really important part of this whole equation. I do think he'll have a bigger say in some of the personnel decisions as well. I'm sure that Kevin Adams is going to lean on him quite a bit. And I think they're going to have plenty of conversations even prior to the NHL draft on exactly what he feels his team needs laid out in front of them. They made progress at times this year. They've done that in the recent past, though, where they've had stretches where they've looked like a playoff team and then have all of a sudden watched everything dissipate. He looks like a guy that can be a calming influence when things fall apart. It appears like he, to me, is a very good head coach. So I'm pleased that he's going to stay there. I think that's going to help in the turnaround in Buffalo. But I do think he's going to have a big voice in some of the decisions that are going to be made as far as player personnel goes, which I don't know that he had prior to, this situation happening.
You think he's going to, for you and you, Sharpie, as well, if that's the case, do you like the idea that Ralph Krueger will have a bigger voice? Should he have a bigger voice?
I think so. I think it's important that the head coach and the general manager are always on the same page. Communication needs to be there. You got to talk hockey all the time. You got to be on top of your team. You got to know the strengths and weaknesses of it. You got to know what players at positions you need to add. So if there's going to be some collaboration there, I think it'll be a good thing. Another positive in this story is Sabres aren't going to be playing hockey for a while. It's unclear when they'll be playing again, so there's certainly a lot of time to kind of get pieces in the right place and build this thing up the right way. I know they do have a few nice pieces on the ice, Jack Eichel, Dahlin on the back end. That's a pretty good start at two important positions.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. We overlooked Dahlin at this point, but, you know, guy was #1 pick and a guy who was considered can't miss, right? Can't miss type prospect. So you have some building blocks. You have some cornerstones outside of those two guys. This has already been a long time. Jonesy, you used the words, this could take a longer time to get better. Outside of those guys, you look at their roster, do you see a contending team?
Not yet. I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. I think the Jeff Skinner signing is going to haunt them. I mean, you're talking about a ton of money that was committed to a player that had one good year, and prior to that had plenty of health issues before, including concussion issues. I can only imagine what it's like to be Jeff Skinner when there's moments where your career was in doubt because of injury, and then you're awarded a ton of money for a long time. I wonder if the incentive is there for him to continue to try to produce at the level that he did prior to getting that contract. So it has not shown up yet, that's for sure. Since he received his new deal, he's played poorly, and that's a key guy because of the salary that he makes that I'm not confident will ever play as well as he did going back prior to signing that deal. So I do think there's some very good players on their back end. And Dahlin, of course, is going to be the guy that leads them back there. I think there's value in some other players back there as well. Ristolainen, a player that I think has value if in fact he does not stay in Buffalo. I think he's got some upside that has never truly been reached in Buffalo, but I think there's potential, and I think there'll be teams out there that believe they can find a way to get him to a different level. Montour was a nice addition. Their blue line is not horrendous. Their blue line has potential, and I think that should help them ultimately start to get things turned around. But goaltending would go a long way in fixing some of their defensive woes and certainly help turn that team around. I think they'll have to look elsewhere for that.
I like Ristolainen and Liam a lot in Buffalo, and I think his name keeps popping up time after time in trade rumors because other teams like him as well, and they want to get him out of Buffalo. I think he's slotted probably a little higher right now in his career than he should be, but that's probably because Buffalo's not winning many games. But Ristolainen competes every shift. He's hard to play against. He's in great shape. He logs minutes. I think him and Dahlin take steps in their career here in the next couple of years, and that's going to help turn things around in Buffalo.
You keep him? You'd have to be blown away?
I'd like to hang on to him. If you're trying to win games and you're trying to build, I mean, what better piece do you need than a big, strong, right-handed shot, good skating defenseman that's young, early in his career? I mean, those are the guys you're looking for. I like Ristolainen a lot.
You know, final thought on this. Obviously, the Pegula is on the Bills as well, and they recognize the fact that they swung and missed a few times with Buffalo before seemingly at this point getting it right with their coach and their GM. The future looks bright. They could easily win the division this year. The Buffalo Bills could host a home playoff game, which, you know, people in Buffalo would be obviously thrilled about at this point. But the fact remains, so much turnover with this Buffalo Sabres organization. For both of you personally, what did it mean to the players individually, not just coaching, but to know that there was front office stability? Did that affect you that much in your career? Obviously, coaching, I get, but how much did front office stability affect you on the ice?
I think it matters a lot, Liam. I think it mattered in my career, and I was fortunate every team I played for had that. And I was never actually on a team where a general manager was removed at the time that I was playing for that team. David Poile in Washington obviously has been great throughout his career. Pierre Lacroix just won a Stanley Cup with the Avalanche and went on to win more Stanley Cups after that as well. And Bobby Clarke had been in Philadelphia forever. So I always felt like that was a great foundation for a team to have, and there was a ton of stability in all three of those clubs that I played for. So it's a very important part of the puzzle, and the players are going to be very leery of what's going on there. So there's going to have to be a lot of convincing to the guys in that wearing those Sabres uniforms that this is going to be a change that's going to be a change, and then it's going to stay constant for once. I think that's what would go a long way in helping the Sabres team. But question marks never sit well with the locker room. I think Sharpie would agree with that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. There needs to be stability at the highest level. And it's felt all the way down in the locker room. Personal experience playing with the Blackhawks when Rocky Wirtz took the team over 2007, things changed instantly, and that front office support was there. My job was to go out and play as a hockey player. That's all we need to do, but you could certainly feel it throughout the city. The front office elevated our status, so to speak. They made us feel like rock stars. They made us feel like the United Center was the best place to play. We knew they had our backs. They were always adding players to the deadline, putting us in a position to win. And that goes a long way to the performance of the players on the ice. You feel like you're a part of something special. Hopefully that good positive stuff happens in Buffalo soon.
And you know, I'll just add, Liam, just one more thing. That you felt a certain responsibility to that general manager. One, he signed you or he traded for you, and you didn't want to let him down. So there was a personal commitment to trying to not just play well for the uniform, but play well for the guy that was sitting up there and making the decisions, who showed confidence enough in you to give you a contract and or trade for you on the contract that you were on. So I do think that there was a lot of respect given to that position. And whenever there's doubt and there's concern and there's just a lack of knowing just how long that guy is going to be there, I think the players can at times take advantage of that. And that's something that Buffalo has to be worried about and really has to correct this time and get it right.